Okay, this is my presentation for M5D2, which explains and evaluates three strategies and initiatives. So within this short PowerPoint, I'll be explaining and evaluating three different current strategies and initiatives that are trying to achieve something significant within sport. To achieve the grades that I require, I will first have to explain the strategy to get a merit and evaluate to get distinction. I have chosen Top Sport, Girls First, and Sport England 2012 to explain and evaluate. So strategy one is Top Sport. Top Sport is a branch of a company called the Youth Sport Trust, which is entrusted with the support and delivery of PE within 10,000 primary schools. The strategy was created to support Key Stage 2 students, Key Stage 2 teachers and not the full potential in their students, aged between 7 and 11 years, by developing young people's physical and social skills, improving young people's wider learning skills such as confidence and managing their emotions, and increasing young people's understanding of their health and well-being. The main reason that the strategy was created was to give primary school age children a taste of many different sports rather than the common ones, and supporting the delivery of PE in the primary schools. This meant that children are more likely to find a sport that they will enjoy, and it's more likely for them to continue on after primary school and secondary school. This strategy has many positives, like it increases the participation levels in some of the uncommon sports, increasing participation levels in general PE across the country, decreasing obesity levels in young children across the country, and finally increasing the dropout phase, which is the age that young people stop playing sport. For boys, it's generally around 16 years old when they leave secondary school. For girls, it's around 14, 15. However, there are some negatives. This strategy doesn't improve the coaching standards in the school, it just supports the delivery. Therefore, the children could be receiving a bad education in sport, and that would make them less likely to continue on with the sport if they've had bad experiences. It mainly focuses on improving skills that aren't involved in sport, such as their confidence and their ability to control their emotions. So for that reason, it doesn't focus on the standards of PE or the deliverance in the primary schools, and it's not really. It is to do with sport, but it's not focusing on sport standards in school.
Okay, so what would you maybe change there, right then? If you go back a slide, and you've given me some pros and cons, which is brilliant, what we're after, but is there anything that you'd like to change personally in a little bit more detail, maybe? Or is there any improvements that you'd like to see changed?
To the strategy, it would be more about increasing the deliverance, not the deliverance of PE. So the standards that they're coached. So instead of just getting the regular PE teachers to do the sessions, they could perhaps bring in specialised coaches in that field to come in, and people who have played sport and experienced it. So good experiences that the coach had is passed on to the young children and makes them more likely to continue on with an uncommon sport, such as hockey, or sort of like so the common ones will be like football, rugby. Less common ones like polo or something like that. Something not many people do.
Yeah, very good.
So the next strategy is called Girls First. The strategy was created by the Sports Council for Wales, with the main aim to increase the participation levels in female sport. This company that created the Girls First Strategy conducted some research before the program started, which proved that adolescent girls are less likely to participate in sport than their male counterparts. This is where I talked about the dropout phase. This would be an example of that. The young girls are dropping out a lot earlier than their male counterparts who are sticking with it till the end of secondary school, meaning that males will participate in sport a lot longer. To answer concern, the Sport Council for Wales would reward any secondary schools with £1,000 if they could create an imaginative proposal to help deliver new opportunities for extracurricular activities for girls. The emphasis of the strategy was to provide new and fun approaches to extracurricular activities, especially for girls who don't want to participate in sport. Strategy would ensure that the secondary schools were creating innovative ideas of the development of girls' sports, with the priority being girls transferring from primary to secondary school, ensuring that they are given positive experiences at the earliest opportunities. As previously mentioned, the strategy is mainly to increase the participation levels of sports, in female sports, and this will affect the range of athletes that the international teams would have to pick from if they have more females participating in sport. There's a wider range and a wider ability range, so they can bring in the best or just have a wide range spread over. There are many positives to this strategy. I've previously mentioned they increase participation level in female sports. They increase the opportunities that the young females have to participate in sport. They increase the drop-off age, as previously mentioned, that these young women will participate in sport. And finally, developing girls' sport, especially the girls transferring from primary to secondary school. The strategy does have some negatives though, and it doesn't focus on the development of the coaching standards. Like with the previous strategy, they're not bringing in specialised coaches in certain fields or female coaches who have had the experiences, so they can pass it on. Instead of just getting the regular PE teachers to coach them. It doesn't focus on getting more women into coaching positions. So if females who are participating in this strategy would go into coaching, that would make it more likely for this strategy to be more successful in the future. So you have people who have gone through the process and can pass on the positive experiences to the children that are going through the strategy.
So almost like a role model.
Yeah. Again, that's pretty much it for that one.
Cool. Is there anything you change on that one then? Anything you might add in, or because you mentioned the drop-off phase, and the drop-off phase is common. That's a common term for girls in around year 9 in secondary schools.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is talking about girls who are a lot younger than those. Is there anything you might want to change there?
Maybe if the strategy was getting some of the females who didn't want to do sports into sports that require them to do less, sort of like the girls that don't want to. Sorry, the girls that generally don't want to participate in sport, don't like getting sweaty or doing all the horrible bits that the girls think sport's about. If the strategy was giving opportunities for girls who don't want to do physical activity as much as the other ones, it's doing sports that don't require them to sweat as much, or all the other bits like swimming or something like that. You can get girls interested in that rather than ones like football, rugby, something that girls will enjoy.
Okay, yeah, I think very good point.
Strategy 3 is Sport England 2012. In 2012, Sport England created a strategy to increase the participation levels in sports by 1 million people. They decided to start the strategy straight after the success of the London 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games, just building on that legacy factor that the Olympics and Paralympics brought around. The main aim of the strategy was to increase participation levels in sport, but some equally significant objectives were to reduce the amount of 16-year-olds who dropped out from 5 key sports by 25%, improve talent development systems in at least 25 sports, and make a major contribution to the delivery of the government's 5-hour sports offer for young children and young adults. Sport England also worked with Sports Coach UK to invest in frontline coaching through national governing bodies or NGBs, whose plan identified the resources needed to support new coaches. During the period that the strategy would run, a separate strand of Sport England will be created, specifically focusing on on coaching for young people with the assistance of the Youth Sport Trust and NGBs. Sport England will increase the coaching for young people in key sports at an early age, which will help deliver the 5-hour sports offer. This strategy would boost the participation levels in key sports, and therefore would increase the ability levels that we have in the key sports. And this strategy would be specifically focusing on the Olympic and Paralympic sports, such as the 100 meter sprint or javelin or so forth. So the Olympic teams will really have a wider range of ability levels to choose from due to this strategy.
Okay, yeah, cool.
As previously mentioned, this strategy has lots of positives, which is like the participation levels would increase for young people up to the age of 16. It increases the coaching standards being given to the young people, and it reduces the amount of 16-year-olds dropping out of key sports. And finally, it would improve the talent development systems in 25 sports, therefore creating better, stronger, faster athletes for the Olympic sports. This strategy does have some negatives, which are that it doesn't include an increase in disabled people in participating in sports, and it was focused on decreasing the amount of people dropping out from key sports instead of getting people involved in some of the less common sports.
Okay, so just a general question then. If we take Sport England 2012, and if we say girls for sport, girls for sport?
Girls first.
Girls first. The girls first was about increasing participation rates in marginalised sports, maybe. And then Sport England's all about improving the sports that are already popular. In your opinion, which side of the fence do you fall on? Which one do you think is better and why?
I would probably fall onto the girls first, purely because it's increasing the participation levels in less known sports, whereas Sport England is focusing on just the already common and known sports.
So why do you think it's important then to increase the participation rates in the less popular sports?
Well, it would mean that if we could produce an international team that could compete with some of the best athletes around the world, and this team, if it was created, would have a wide range of ability levels and a wide range of age ranges to create that team from, so they can just get a real mix of talented athletes.
So what you're trying to say there is that we can compete internationally in more areas rather than just the common sports.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then, brother.
Alright. Finally, my conclusion. In conclusion, all the strategies that have been mentioned in this PowerPoint have all been created to increase participation of the sports. Every strategy have their own minor objectives that they would look to achieve during the course of the strategy, as these would benefit sports that they are looking to help. In my opinion, Sport England 2012 was the best as it focused on the major sports areas and sports participation, as it focused on all genders and the major points in a young adult's life. So the young adults are more likely to stay in that sport past their educational career. The next strategy would be Girls First, as it was focusing on getting more young females interested in participating in sport. This would increase the amount of females that are participating in sport, and thus would help to improve the level at which people see female sports. And finally, the worst strategy that I thought was Top Sport. Even though it focuses